Here's your wrestling news for May 20th, 2022, and your headlines for today include Stephanie McMahon taking leave of absence from WWE, how long has she been less involved in WWE, who will be taking over most of Stephanie McMahon's duties at WWE, and more. What is Johnny Elite's current status with AEW after debuting on Dynamite? Why WWE won't fire Sasha Banks and Naomi? Why Sasha Banks continues to receive zero support from WWE management after Walkout. MJF says his back is hurting from carrying AEW. CM Punk and Swerve Strickland call out racist pro wrestling journalists. Fired WWE wrestler was extremely offended by CM Punk's pro-choice t-shirt on AEW Dynamite. WOW's original business plan was to serve as a Tessa Blanchard rehabilitation project. Released WWE Superstar was removed from WWE 2K22 DLC pack, several AEW contracts set to expire soon, and more. We're kicking off today with Stephanie McMahon, an integral part of her father's company, who has worked for years both on-screen and in an executive role. Stephanie's roles behind the scenes include being the company's chief brand officer, but much of her work has since ended. On Twitter, McMahon confirmed she is taking a leave of absence from the majority of her WWE responsibilities, but said that she looks forward to her return to the company. McMahon received a ton of support from people in WWE, as she's clearly well-liked, but hasn't been around much as of late. That's according to Sean Ross Sapp, who reports that Stephanie hasn't been as involved in WWE in recent memory, and that there have been rumblings that she might step away. Sapp clarified that this decision was taken by Stephanie herself and that she was not pushed out of her spot with WWE. It's unclear exactly what the reason is for this decision, but WWE will have to find out a way to operate without the billion-dollar princess around. WWE's president and chief revenue officer will be taking over much of her duties with WWE, as confirmed by Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics, who reported that a select few business partners were informed immediately after her announcement. According to PW Insider, it appears no one within WWE had any idea this announcement was coming. A mother of 3 girls, Stephanie has said that she is looking forward to spending time with her family, and given the ordeal that her family has been through as of late, including her husband's cardiac event and retirement, the fourth-generation McMahon has certainly earned some time off. Over to AEW now, as this week's show saw John Morrison make his debut for the company, once again changing his name. Now going by Johnny Elite, the former ECW World Champion was the Joker in the Owen Hart Foundation men's tournament, but came up short against Samoa Joe. His name change has led fans to speculate on Elite's future, but Mike Johnson, a PW Insider, has reported that despite the name, no contract has been signed to make the ex-superstar All Elite. Speaking of Hennigan, who debuted last night as Johnny Elite, we are told that he is not signed to the promotion as of this writing, but the door is open for additional appearances down the line after he wrestled Samoa Joe last night. He may not have won against Samoa Joe, but Johnny Elite did impress fans with his appearance last night, and we may be hearing this name more and more in the coming months. Now, it's been less than a week since Sasha Banks and Naomi walked out of WWE Raw, and the pair sent shockwaves throughout the company by their decision to leave. Being blasted as unprofessional on commentary, no punishment has been announced for the two, but don't expect either woman to lose their job. Speaking on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer said that if this was another time, then there's a good chance they would be fired, which is exactly what he was told when Charlotte Flair went off script last year during her title exchange with Becky Lynch. Ultimately, though, firing Banks and Naomi would mean giving AEW the chance to sign 2 huge names who, despite their actions, remain massively popular with wrestling fans, many of whom feel they're in the right. The pair's walkout forced WWE to change their main event and reportedly nixed an angle between Banks and Ronda Rousey, but it's thanks to Tony Khan that the pair will remain WWE superstars. Sasha Banks may not be losing her job for her actions, but she has lost support in WWE, especially from those in management. That's according to Brian Alvarez, who reports that management is very upset about the situation and continue to not have her back. There is still almost no support for Sasha. Among management, I can't say 100%, but there is no support for her from management. Like, there's nothing that has come out or changed or anything like that. I mean, there's actually some stuff happening where, I can tell, management is very upset about this situation. As we've said, Banks won't be fired, but losing your job isn't the only option WWE has, as they could fine her for unprofessional conduct or even freeze her contract. Only WWE management know what they'll do with Sasha Banks, who is seen as the ringleader for what happened last week, but whatever punishment they choose, Banks has no support among those decision-makers in the company. While much has been said about Banks, who is believed to be the instigator of the walkout following a meeting with Vince McMahon, we now have an update on her tag team partner Naomi, who walked out in solidarity. On the latest Wrestling Observer Radio, it was reported that Naomi's WWE contract is set to expire soon, but it is unclear when exactly that will be. Dave Meltzer suggested that her contract ending soon could have been a factor in her decision to walk out this week, though it's unclear how this will affect any negotiations about a new contract for the 12-year WWE veteran. Given that Naomi's family, including her husband and brother-in-law, work for WWE, it'll be interesting to see what number WWE will offer her, especially after this week. Meltzer noted that while several new contracts are including raises to prevent talent from choosing to leave to sign with AEW, the walkout could end any idea of getting a raise. On the other hand, Naomi could sit out the rest of her contract, which could make WWE freeze her deal, but both sides will be aware that this strategy wouldn't be able to last forever. At this moment, neither Banks nor Naomi have publicly commented on the matter, but both have reportedly been pulled from live events until the end of July, so we'll have to see just how much longer Naomi is around. More from AEW as MJF has become one of the most pivotal stars of the promotion, all without having to have held a championship. MJF hasn't held a championship belt, at least not yet, but is fully aware of his achievements, as he tweeted on Thursday. "Back is starting to hurt from carrying this company. Couldn't tell from my physique though. Wait, wrestlers are supposed to be in shape? Who knew?" The last part of the tweet appears to be another shot at AEW and its performers, who come in all shapes and sizes. We know that MJF's contract with AEW will expire in 2024, and the Salt of the Earth has made no secret that he's considering leaving for WWE, but that's a decision we'll only know for sure in over a year and a half from now. When Sasha Banks and Naomi walked out of this week's Raw, there were a lot of hot takes about the situation, but perhaps the worst came from Billy Body. On social media, Body responded to Swerve Strickland's support for the two, saying that it is racial with these people, and said that the women's tag team champions are being given preferential treatment because of their skin color. This led Strickland to call out Body, branding him a racist, and he's not the only one with an issue with certain wrestling journalists. When Fox's Ryan Satin responded to Strickland, saying how Body is a total scumbag who taunted his fiancée over the death of her father, CM Punk responded saying, "You ain't got room to talk here." This is likely in response to Satin's reports about Sasha and Bayley, who were involved in an incident in 2019 at WrestleMania 35, which led to Banks requesting her release by WWE. CM Punk has never shied away from making his feelings known, and this week was no exception, as while Body may be a bad dude, he's not the only one, according to the AEW star. Speaking of Punk, the former WWE superstar appeared on this week's AEW Dynamite wearing a pro-choice shirt saying abortion rights are human rights. This is in response to a move within the US to overturn Roe v. Wade, which, if successful, could lead to states outright banning abortions under any means, something Punk feels strongly about. On social media, controversial former WWE referee Drake Wuertz blasted Punk, saying, "Liberal atheist CM Punk promoting child sacrifice on a live pro wrestling show is disgraceful. There is no right to murder a baby." The former WWE official turned Florida GOP candidate has called abortion one of the biggest reasons why he's running for office, calling it a medical freedom issue, and also runs on an anti-vaccine, anti-mask campaign, claiming that the use of face masks is part of a global child trafficking plot. It's worth saying that this QAnon claim has been thoroughly debunked, but Wuertz continues to believe it, even taking days off during his time in WWE to speak publicly about the idea. If elected, Wuertz would endeavor to ban abortions completely in Florida, while CM Punk believes in a woman's right to choose, and neither side is expected to budge in their beliefs. Tessa Blanchard is not a popular woman in wrestling after several accusations of racism and misconduct came out against her, and the former Impact World Champion has had just one match over the past 2 years. Blanchard signed with WOW not too long ago, but this week it was reported that she is done with the company, and we now know more about her alleged departure. According to Fightful Select, WOW's original business plan was meant to serve as a rehabilitation project for Tessa because every major promotion wanted nothing to do with the talented former champion. Their report reads, Part of the plan from the jump was to serve as a Tessa Blanchard rehabilitation project, as there was no interest from WWE, AEW, Impact, or even ROH at the time to bring her in. David McLean had long been a fan and protective of her, going as far as to email WoW talent in January 2020 and ask them not to speak about the Blanchard controversies. However, countless talent associated with WoW spoke to Fightful on the record in the following months about their issues with Blanchard, including some that have remained or returned. It was reported that Blanchard was livid that a planned January tryout for WoW was cancelled by CBS because of COVID, and she believed the tryout could happen over Zoom or in a smaller venue. When AJ Lee signed with WoW as a commentator and executive producer, this didn't help things one bit, as WoW opted to switch their focus away from Blanchard and on to the former WWE Divas Champion. After reports came out of the tensions between Blanchard and WoW, the former world champion fired off an interesting message about standing up for what you believe in, leading many to believe that the reports are accurate. Blanchard was previously reported to have had nuclear heat due to the claims against her, and it now seems that fans can add WoW to the growing list of promotions who want nothing to do with her. Earlier this year, Nash Carter was cut from WWE after an image of him impersonating Adolf Hitler was shared online. Before his release, WWE had plans for the MSK member, who was set to be in the upcoming Stand Back DLC for WWE 2K22, but has since been removed. Now the DLC pack will include the Hurricane, Stacy Keibler, A-Kid, and Carter's old tag partner Wes Lee, but Nash will be nowhere to be seen when the DLC launches next month. And we're ending today with AEW, who have lost Cody Rhodes and Stu Grayson over the past couple of months, but many more stars may be ready to go. On Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer said that plenty of names signed 3-year deals just before their first Las Vegas event in May 2019, meaning their contracts will be expiring very soon. Meltzer didn't name exactly who was part of the May 2019 group, but Tony Khan will have some difficult decisions to make over who should stay in AEW and who will ultimately be shown the door. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.